Hello, I'm Pastor Leon Threet. Welcome to the Threet Report. You know, I've been so encouraged and excited about this revelation, this message I believe I've been receiving for the last few weeks. The title of the message, How to Break Containment. You know, I'm standing in front of a storage facility where things are being contained, things are being housed, things are being put aside until a later date. I want you to know that it was never God's plan to bring you into a place of containment. You know, many of us are living contained. The word contained means to be repressed, suppression, controlled, restrained, or inhibition. It was never intended for us to live a contained life. You know, we've got to find out, we've got to look at how to break containment. You know, it's amazing that some people seem to do that much better than others. Some people seem to live outside of containment. They're able to live a life of peace or of transparency, of financial prosperity, a sense of travel, of excitement, of motivation, achieving and accomplishing their dreams and writing books and doing all the things I believe that they were destined to do. But we see others, for whatever reason, living a very contained life, being suppressed, being restricted and confined to geographics or confined to a way of life. And in this series, I'm going to take for the next 2 or 3 weeks talking about how to break containment, how to get out of the box, how to get out of this restrained, confined place. Just as things contained in this storage facility, we need to see how to get those things out. We ourselves need to know how to get out of containment. Containment was never God's plan for your life. I believe the enemy has come to steal, kill, and to destroy. It was never God's plan. You know, the word tells us, if God did not withhold his only son, how shall he not also with him give you and I all things? All things. See, it was never in the Creator's plan for you to live in a container. It was his plan that you would live and do great and mighty things for you, your family, your community, for your nation, and yes, to fulfill your destiny. How to break containment. You know, I asked this question as I began to look into this series on how to break containment. I asked the question, where did containment come from? How do we get confined in a storage facility, in a container? And then I began to get some insight. Many times we have found ourselves in a container because someone else defined us that way. There's a story in 1 Chronicles 4, verses 9 and 10 about a young man called Jabez. Many of you know the story. And what's interesting, the scripture seems to indicate a whole list of people, and they seem to be somewhat average. And then in verse 9 of 1 Chronicles 4, it said, but Jabez was more honorable than his brethren. And then it says that Jabez's name, his mother named him Jabez because she was a woman of sorrow and grief. Imagine that. Imagine having a name that means sorrow and grief. And then Jabez says, he prayed, God, I want and asked you to enlarge me and bless me. And God honored Jabez's prayer. He enlarged Jabez's territory and he gave him a new destiny. I want you to know this. People can define you or restrict you. Just as Jabez's mother had called him one of grief and sorrow, often we're living with the confinements placed on us by others. But I want you to know there's a way to break the confinement, break the containment, just as Jabez did. And that's what we're going to be looking at in this series on how to break containment. I'm Leon Threet. You're watching the Threet Report. I'll be back next week on looking at how to break containment in your life. Thank you and have a great week.